In this video, I'm going to show you why the $5,000-$6,000 you have spent on your Brompton TI was probably a mistake, or if you are planning to buy this bike for the kind of reasons most people buy them, you are probably mistaken. And if you look at some of the options I'm presenting in this video, you might just be able to save several $1,000s. But before I continue, make sure to check out my shopping page below. I have added a bunch of new stuff. My book is there, a bunch of custom t-shirts are there, and in addition, I always include links to everything I feature in a video. So if you want to do your own research, by all means check out the links below. So at first I'm gonna show you a video. The video I did, the last one I did with my Xootr. This is in so-called Mid-Hudson, upstate New York. I am approaching the train station and I'm riding my Xootr. The Xootr has no motor, no electricity. The whole thing costs $300. I will give you more details later on in the video, but I'm actually hitting the brakes as I'm going down because the rolling resistance is so incredibly low. On a downhill like this, it very quickly goes up to 20 miles an hour, and if I wanted to go faster than that, I could still do that. Of course, I'm not going to do it because it's kind of dangerous to do 25-30 miles an hour on teeny tiny 8-inch wheels. And the one warning I have to give you is, I love this scooter, but you have to have some sense of sanity to ride it and some skill as well, because the rolling resistance is so low and you don't have much of any braking power on it. So I'm giving you a link to this video below. You can see the whole video. The point is, the whole thing weighs 10.5 pounds, and I go down to the train station effortlessly in probably not much more time than it would take you on a Brompton TI to do this thing. In here, we encounter some situations where the scooter is actually better than any of the Bromptons, any folding bikes really. So I take the train. Yes, you can put a TI frame into the train. There's a separate section for it, but the Xootr can handle it even if it's very crowded, even if there is no special area set aside for bikes and luggage and so on. In fact, it's so tiny you can easily put it into the overhead compartment, not just on the train, but also on buses if they have it, on planes. Very easy to get it on the planes. A lot of people buy the TI and various Brompton bikes, and then they try to put them into the luggage compartment, into the overhead section. That is something you can do with the Xootr so much easier. And here you can see how you would not be allowed to ride your Brompton bike inside the terminal, but nobody says anything about me riding it anywhere. In the terminal, on the sidewalk, I jump in and out. I go inside stores. I have absolutely no problem. And okay, let's look at the turnstile in a subway system. This is tougher than the average revolving door. It's actually very compact. I don't know if you can get a Brompton into it. You might be able to. But the speed with which I fold a scooter and the ease with which I can turn it up vertically, and you can see I'm riding inside the terminal, is something that no folding bike can match. So the $5,000-$6,000 you spent on your Brompton TI may not come in handy because you're going to be pushing that bike the same way these people are pushing their luggage. I don't think you would be allowed to ride inside the subway on the bike. I never see it. As tolerant as New York City is, it's just not an easy thing to do. And then you go down into the subway. Again, it's much easier to lift it. Mine weighs 10.5 pounds. As light as the TI Brompton is, it cannot match something as light as this. And I don't think you could even upgrade it. I mean, people have spent thousands of dollars on upgrades, and they could never get down to as low as 10-11 pounds. Whereas the Xootr comes stock, I think, at 10, 11, 12 pounds, depending on the model you buy. And this is the one area where I would rather have the bike, especially if you have this 12 speed. You could go so much faster. So if most of your commute, most of what you bought the bike for is this kind of a relatively flat riding, then you might be better off with the bike. On the other hand, a cheap little electric scooter is going to beat the Brompton TI black and blue in an area like this, because they have ranges of 10, 15, 25, some of them even 40 miles on a single charge. So if you just want to run errands or you are using the bike for commuting, the electric scooter is so far superior to a TI or any kind of a folding bike, really. So I will show you later on your options as far as scooters are concerned. But here I am going back into Manhattan. I came out and rode into Queens, and I did what I had to do, and now I'm coming back in Manhattan. If you are on a downhill, the Xootr is actually very quick. It's just a question of how fast am I going to allow it to take it downhill, because it can get very fast very quickly, and it can get dangerous. On the flats, it's almost effortless to cruise with it, but it's not going to go as fast as a bicycle, no question about that. And on uphills, that's the hard part. Although the scooter is very, very light and you can actually push it, it's not much of extra weight, so you can walk almost with the same speed that you would be using otherwise. But once again, if you have a 12-speed Brompton TI, then the uphill is going to be faster. Is it going to be faster than an electric scooter? No. I used to own an electric scooter, not a lightweight one. It was one of those heavier ones, but boy, are they a big help on uphills against anybody, either folding bike or non-electric scooter, very light. Forget it. The electric scooter is going to leave them all in the dust, except a good e-bike. A good e-bike, it's not going to leave in the dust, but it's also much easier to carry, to fold. And here I am back in Manhattan, and I can easily get on the sidewalk. Once again, the extreme versatility of riding a scooter like this. It's very easy to fold, easy to get past turnstiles, revolving doors, escalators, whatever you say, it can handle them all. So the versatility is really extreme. And I would say if you're operating within a 6-mile radius, then this is ideal and beats absolutely everything else. Notice how I'm going into the underground. This is a part of a tunnel system that leads to Grand Central Station. It's one of those lovely things that I love to ride on my scooter because it's so smooth like a mirror. There are no irregularities on the floor. And look, nobody even pays attention because the wheels are so tiny. The scooter is so tiny. Unless you're a real jerk and bully people, nobody's going to say a word. And so sometimes I slow down when I get close to people. So I try to ride safely and with consideration to people. And if you do that, you'll have no problem. With the Brompton TI, there's no way they're gonna allow you to ride around. And with the Brompton TI, obviously you could probably do 20 miles an hour here if you wanted to, even 25. But you just don't have the ability to do it because of the legality. Not to mention that people would freak out. They would absolutely freak out, whereas they don't even pay attention. Now, if you ride around in the main section of Grand Central, I actually had some officer or somebody telling me not to ride. So that can happen, but you stop riding and you push it around and they leave you alone. There is no tickets, no drama. It's just this is the area, like this is the busy main area where you have to watch out for security guards and cops. So this is a video I took, and this was before I left the US in July. I have the link below. You should check out the full video, and I think it shows you how incredibly versatile a scooter is. Now, in all frankness, look at what you get from Brompton for a T-line. For over $5,000, you get something around 17 pounds, 17 and a half, $5,500, and a 12-speed, $6,000, and it weighs almost 20 pounds. Compare this to the Xootr. The one I own is a bit different, and this amount is in Thai baht, unfortunately. I'm recording this in Bangkok, but the price is about $300 US. And they ship all over the place. That's why they are showing you the local currency. I've had mine for 20 years. This is the only fold you have. You just fold this down. There is one joint. There is nothing else. There is no drivetrain, no chain, nothing to fix. In 20 years, I replaced the rear wheel once because you get some wear by stepping on the rear wheel to slow down or to stop. But even then, you replace it once every 12-15 years, and it's I think it's 20 or 50 bucks. I don't remember. And I had one of the screws fall out from up here, and it had to be replaced. It's a few dollars. So that's been the maintenance I have done in 20 years. The front wheel is the original front wheel with the original inside. Nothing had to be replaced. The ball bearing is the original ball bearing. Nothing has gone wrong, really. And this is how it looks when you fold it. I think for $300, you would be crazy not to consider it. And so then some people are going to say, well, small wheel, this looks nice, but I want to go out on the weekend. I want to do the Century ride. This one is even cheaper, very nice, not as fast. The thing about this one is it has a magnesium deck, which they could lower more than the other decks because of the strength of magnesium as a lightweight metal. And some bicycles also use this metal. It's a really cool thing to do. But in any case, so some people are going to say, hey, what about the weekends? I cannot use a Xootr to take care of everything I want to do. Sometimes I want to ride on a 50-mile group ride or do a Century. What do? Well, I spent $300 on the Xootr, and I could spend less than $3,000 on the Birdie GT. In fact, the price of the Xootr, $2,800 plus $300, that's $3,100 for the whole package. And I have an absolutely butt-kicking bike for the weekend, for day trips, for weekend trips, for vacations. Not as light as the T-Line. When you're riding all day long or on the vacation, 50 miles, 100 miles a day, the lightness is not going to make that much of a difference. What you want is effective power transfer to the wheels and as much of a cushioning and suspension comfort as you can get, wider tires, bigger tires. None of that is going to come from this. There's no such thing as a big tire T-Line. So $6,000 or half of that money for a really classy bike with an extremely quick scooter. Now, even if I wanted to get a Brompton, because some people are going to say, I want a Brompton, I only want a Brompton. Well, you get a P-Line, it's not going to be 20 pounds, but it's going to be just 3 pounds heavier for a 12-speed P-Line, which is partially titanium. The extremities are titanium, the rest of it is steel, but that also means it's going to last longer. Especially if you want to do some mild off-roading or just heavy use. This fork is much stronger than the carbon fork you would be getting from the Brompton. As you know, I never particularly liked the carbon fork. So far we have not heard about anything breaking, which is a good thing, but I just don't trust it. But in any case, if you want a Brompton, you can have it. Even with this one, say $3,300 plus $300 for the Xootr, it's still $3,600. So it's just a much better deal than rushing to the junction and coughing up $6,000 for a bike that is not really the best tourer, and it's not the best in town either. So the Swiss Army knife solution that this bike is trying to offer is just not working, because this is not the bike I would take out on a weekend ride, and it's not the bike I would use for grocery shopping or short range commuting, something like up to 6 miles of range. If you have to commute longer than this, then the Xootr is not going to be enough. So for those occasions, I would recommend a lightweight quality electric scooter, and I've spoken about Unagi before. I think it's a great scooter. It's made in China, but with American management and control. It is also, interestingly enough, partially magnesium, and you can rent it. You don't have to buy it if you don't want to. You can just rent it. There's a high-powered version. I think if you buy it, it's about $1,000, and if you rent it, it's $100 a month or something. And look at the range, 25-mile range. So even if you get this for $1,000 plus the Birdie, it's still $4,000 or less. Or you can rent it. You can buy either the Brompton P line or the Birdie and just rent the scooter. See how you like it. See how you like the new arrangement. They have this a little bit cheaper model. I think it has one motor in it, the other one has two, and 12 miles of range. The reason I recommend the maximum of 6 with the Xootr is because I have tested mine many times, and on mixed terrains I'm getting an average speed of 6 miles an hour. 6 miles an hour is good enough for a lot of people, but it's not good enough for everybody. So you have the option of getting an electric scooter, and in general the electric scooter has destroyed the market for folding bikes and very compact bikes for short range urban commuting and running around doing errands. And if you don't want this, if you want something even cheaper, you can. I mean, just for a few $100s you can get a Segway on Amazon, and I'm giving you links below. Even the very lightweight ones. The lightweight is important because you can kick it once it runs out of electricity. So say you can do 15 miles on a single charge, you can still kick it for another 5 miles. It's not going to be as easy kick as a Xootr because these scooters obviously are a lot heavier, but you can kick it just in case you run out. And if you really want something very long range, then they have well below $1,000 their famous Max scooters, which everybody loves because it has an insane 40-mile range, and I think it costs $600 or $700, and the power is amazing. I mean, it's Chinese made, but as far as discount product goes, this is about as much value as you are ever going to get out of an electric scooter. So this is what I wanted to say. I'm not saying if you already have a TI that you should trash it, but if you are considering one, make sure you take a careful look before you blow $6,000 on a bicycle that may end up getting you feeling frustrated and feeling that you have overpaid, which is probably what you would end up doing.
I'll be back.